Hey Leamons, welcome back to another video of mine. So today, I'm going to look back at some old Pokemon art of mine to cringe and review them. I made some cringe review videos on my old drawings, and I decided I'd make one of my old Pokemon drawings too. If anyone doesn't know, I'm a big Pokemon fan, so over the years I've drawn lots of Pokemon art. Some of these drawings are funny as they don't even look like the Pokemon, or I drew them too, furry-like, if that even makes sense. So there's gonna be a lot to unpack in this video. Anyway, with that all said, let's jump right into things. Drawing 1. This was a drawing I made of the Pokemon Flareon, and wow, I drew a lot of fluff all over its body, like an excessive amount. I know Flareon is a fluffy Pokemon, but this is just too much. I also drew its front and back paws in a different paw style. The front paws have 3 paw nubs, and the back paws have a nail line on them. I don't know why I did this, or if I even noticed. I also went all out on the background. Like, the background is insanely airbrushed. I did clouds and red fire surrounding Flareon, and there's just way too much going on. The drawing has way too many shades of yellows and oranges. It's hard to look at. I will say, even though it's a really bad drawing, it's pretty cute. Drawing 2. This was a drawing of the Pokemon Glameow, which is a Pokemon I've surprisingly drawn twice, and you'll see the other drawing later on in the video. I don't particularly like this Pokemon, so it's rather interesting I've drawn it twice. Anyway, I'm not a fan of the airbrush shading on this drawing. I didn't consider where the light or the shade was hitting her. I most likely didn't know the sun in the corner technique back then. Instead, I threw light and shade everywhere on her, and it looks really bad for that reason. The line art for this drawing is also pretty bad. You can tell I was still getting used to digital art. It's just a drawing for me. Drawing 3. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Eevee. It's alright, but she looks weird in this drawing, almost as if she's some random dog OC and not even a Pokemon. I personally don't like how I did the shading either. It's all over the edges of her neck fur, and just in general, it looks very messy. I also made her eyes a yellowish white color on the inside, and it's a bit creepy looking. Drawing 4. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Shinx. I really dislike this angle I drew Shinx at. Their body looks like it's sitting from a behind and sideways angle at the same time. Then its head and face just pops out at an unnatural 3/4 angle when it should be looking sideways or away from us. It's just really weird the more you look at it, so I'm not a fan of this one. Drawing 5. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Shuppet, which was definitely an odd choice to choose out of every single Pokemon. I think Shuppet is a cute Pokemon, but I have no clue why I decided to draw it over many others I liked. Anyway, it's sort of wonky looking. Shuppet is literally just a flying puppet creature, which shouldn't be that hard to draw, but I somehow still messed that up. Its head looks weird on its body, and the pointy spike on its head doesn't look accurate to the real Shuppets. I tried to make its bottom of its body look dimensional, but it just looks bad. Drawing 6. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Pikachu, and I hope everyone watching this video at least knows who Pikachu is. Perhaps this drawing is bad though, and you can't recognize him. If so, that's my bad. Anyway, he's sorta cute. I like that his little paw looks like he's waving or something. I mean, I don't really have much critique for this, other than I feel like I should have put the right ear closer to the other side of his face, considering his face is straight on and not at a 3/4 angle. Drawing 7. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Emolga. This was a Pokemon I've always really liked. For being a Pikachu clone, I always felt like Emolga was unique in its own way. This drawing of her is also just really adorable. I don't really have any real criticism, to be honest. Again, just like Pikachu's, I feel like her left ear should be placed more closer to the left side of her head. I guess if I really also had to say something else, I'm not a fan of the shading I did on her, as it looks pretty messy. Drawing 8. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Pachirisu. I guess I was drawing a bunch of the Pika clones around this time. I don't like this one as much as the others though. I somehow made her look dirty. Like, she has hair strands sticking out of her fur everywhere. She has messy shading everywhere. The shading has dots on it for some weird reason, and her eyes make her look crazy. I think because her pupils were super small, and I decided to make her eye insides a gross yellowy color. And not to mention her right paw comes out of her body. It doesn't have a separator line art through the body, even though it looks as if this angle should. Drawing 9. This was drawings of the Pokemon Hyoptal. I decided to make a whole sketch page of this Pokemon. It's honestly pretty cute. This is a really cute Pokemon just in general, one of my favorites for sure. It's interesting that I made her standing on 2s in some and on all 4s in others. Like, I imagine I wanted this Pokemon to be able to walk on both. I also had this really thick line art style at the time. Some of these sketches are sort of funny. Like, in one she's all injured and crying, and then another she's charging headfirst, just like a T-Rex. Drawing 10. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Flygon, which was another favorite Pokemon of mine. The drawing is surprisingly okay. I don't see any real problems with it. The only things I can notice is that I added fur on Flygon, even though Flygon is a dragon and shouldn't have fur. It looks like I also added whiskers on its face for some weird unknown reason. And technically its left wing shouldn't be as far out as it is, since Flygon is at a 3/4 angle, so if I pulled it back it would have looked nicer. Drawing 11. This was a drawing of the Pokemon Ampharos, and all I have to say is, this is the result when a furry artist comes in contact with a Pokemon. Like, I'm genuinely scared of this drawing, as it doesn't even look like Ampharos. All the colors are right, the tail and horns are correct, but the body just looks messed up. Like, this ain't it. It looks like I drew a furry body and slapped Ampharos onto it. And it shouldn't have arms and paws like that, as Ampharos' arms are very cartoony blob-like. And I also don't think I should have added fur to it. It's a hard call since it is a sheep Pokemon, but I'm pretty sure it's hairless, as its evolution stages beforehand have sheep fur and it loses it by this stage, and its Mega regains a white fur on its body. So technically I don't think Ampharos has any fur on its body. This is overall just a mess of a drawing, and Ampharos did not deserve this. Drawing 12. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Glameow. I said earlier that I've drawn it 2 times, so here's the other drawing. This drawing looks hideous. I hate how I drew its face. Its facial expression looks so ugly. It's doing like a charming look, but it's just gross. I think it also doesn't help that it's at a side view, but its teeth are more placed in the middle of its cheek, when they should be drawn at the end of her mouth underneath her nose. I also don't like that I added a little X down on its belly. It's not even in the right area where that little X technically would be placed, but it still makes me feel uncomfortable. I just shouldn't have drawn it at all. Like, what was I thinking? This drawing is a disaster. Drawing 13. This is a drawing of the Pokemon Axew. Axew is my most favorite Pokemon for anyone who doesn't know. Something about its design I just love. Although, I didn't capture that in this drawing. I made Axew into some weird furry looking creature. Axew should not have fur, and Axew should not be built like this. I clearly tried to make it a female Axew and make it all girly and pretty, but why did I draw the legs like that? It's making me uncomfortable to look at. Like, genuinely, the drawing itself is fine, but knowing it's supposed to be a Pokemon, knowing that it's Axew, that's what makes the drawing look bad to me. I also don't like how I colored in Axew's darker green pattern. It sort of just looks like I shaded it on the top of its head, instead of that being a different color for Axew's design. I also gave it furry paws. Drawing 14. This was a drawing of both Axew and Deino. I like and dislike this drawing at the same time. And yeah, I drew fur on both of them even though they are dragons. Technically Deino does have fur on the black parts of its design, but its blue part of its body should not have fur. Anyway, this drawing is a lot to look at. Axew is looking at the ground scared for some reason. It doesn't even look like she recognizes Deino as next to her. Her tail is on the ground, which makes it look like she's floating. I should have put her tail behind her body to make her sit look more natural. At least she sorta looks better in this drawing than the last one. Still not great though, as she has fur everywhere. Actually, this whole style had like really spiky sharp fur, and it's really chaotic to take in. Deino looks fine for the most part. I feel like I should be able to see his back leg in the drawing, but it's fine, it's not there. There could be worse things, I guess. The background is also very purple, and I can't tell if I like or dislike that. Drawing 15. This is a drawing I did that was inspired by the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. To this day, I'm proud of it. Even if I can tell this perspective in the drawing has some flaws. Like, you can tell the upstairs area looks sort of wonky, where it shows the side of the walls just above where Pikachu is, and all of the glowing and shadow airbrush effects are just too much to take in. I also don't like that I made this line art white in some areas. Although, with this all said, I still like this drawing, and I feel like the Pokemon I drew are all very cute. I actually got Axew looking like a normal Axew, and I sort of have a Shuppet redemption drawing over in the right corner. Also, for anyone who played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, Axew and Oshawott were my choices in Gates to Infinity, and Pikachu and Riolu were my choices in Pokemon Explorers of Sky. And that's it for my Pokemon drawings. I really enjoyed looking back at my old Pokemon art and cringe reviewing it. There were definitely some good parts to the drawings, and a lot of bad. It's also just interesting to see my interpretations of these Pokemon over the years, all except my interpretation on Ampharos, because that was not okay. That was genuinely scary to look back on, and after this video, I hope to never see or think of it again. Anyway, what kinds of Pokemon have you guys drawn before? Do you have a favorite? Let me know down in the comment section, as I love to hear your thoughts. It's been Leamon Puppy, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time.